Hello, this is Troy Chase with the Troy Chase Realty Group. I'm here today to talk about top 5 tips on selling your home for the best price. So we're gonna get started right away. No BS, we're just gonna get right into it. So number 5, you need to stage it right. What does that mean? Staging it right means that you need to minimize furniture. So basically, we know we live in these houses. These houses that we are staging to sell, these are not houses that we're living in. Remove excess furniture. I know that you use a lot of this stuff, and I know that you also still have to live there, but you're also trying to get ready to move. So one of the things that's going to help you to be able to get ready to move is start to minimize furniture, whether that's putting it in storage, putting it somewhere else, maybe in the garage, but find a place to minimize furniture to open up the rooms and make the rooms look bigger. Personally, my mom, right now, you look at her house, she's got bookcases everywhere, she's got lots of furniture, and there's very little space to like move around, but there's plenty of space to sit, and that's great because she's living there, right? But if she's trying to sell her house, completely different concept of what we're looking at. Number 2, you need to clear walkways. So make sure that your walkways are clear, especially entrances. So when you first walk into the house, make sure you don't have like those little tables that like to be spots for you to just drop stuff, like maybe mail or other items as you walk into the house, keys, purses, whatever. It's like a catch-all area. Just completely remove that. I know it's got some nice little cute knickknacks or something like that, but you want to make the walkways, the entrances as open as possible to make the house appear as if it has large open spaces. Number 3, make sure you have a mirror somewhere near the entrance, and this is kind of a mental trick. This helps the home buyer as they come to tour your house. They see themselves in your house. So what they do is they see themselves in the mirror somewhere near the entrance, and they start to have this psychological trip where they can start to picture themselves literally in the house. And so that's a nice little neat trick to do right near the entrance. So next time you go to look in a house, when you're looking on your own, maybe an open house or something like that, peer around, notice in the entrance, see if maybe someone has a mirror right there by the door. All right. Number 4, update the kitchen and the master. Most people, whether it's a family, whether it's empty nesters that are starting to live on their own after maybe they graduated high school seniors, everybody lives in the kitchen and the master. So those 2 rooms need to be the most updated. So a lot of times I feel like when I walk around with my buyers or working with sellers, a lot of the feedback has to do with the kitchen. Right now, a lot of the stuff in the early 2000s, there was lots of dark cabinets, espresso, maybe like a brown type look, and some warmer colors like your different tans and stuff like that. Well, now a lot of stuff is going to like a gray, white, black, like just stage it, like basically watch HGTV, which most of us do. Whatever style is hot right now, that's a lot of like what your kitchen needs to look like. Same with your master bath. Master suite, in general, master bedroom. Master bedrooms are pretty much all the same. You may have like a bay window or something like that. It's a nice little feature. Make sure that that's as open as possible. Bed, maybe one dresser, but make sure there's lots of space. And if you do have a larger room, you can go ahead and put like chairs in there. And anything along those lines, just make sure that the bedroom appears large. And then the master bath, make it appear as a spa. Like make sure that people, when they come home, they can picture themselves living here every day in a spa. The most popular master bathrooms for buyers are ones that appear as if you could spend a day at the day spa right there. So that's one other huge upgrade. Remove personal effects. So if you have family pictures, you have maybe your last name or something is spattered all over the house, personalized items. Those are great, and when you live there, obviously you want to make sure that people know who lives there, right? And these are memories and stuff like that. Well, we just talked about the mirror in the front of the entrance, right? Well, that kind of kills that illusion that people are trying to picture themselves in this house when they see other people's last name, or maybe the letter R or something like that for, you know, Robertson or something like that. But basically eliminate that kind of stuff, because it kind of kills that illusion that we're trying to create when we have people tour the house. Number 6, remove evidence of pets. It's great to have pets. You can have pets that you take with you when you leave. You can possibly put them in the garage in a crate if you have dogs. Whatever you do, you want to remove as much evidence of having pets as possible. So that means food bowls, cat litter, boxes, puppy pads, anything. Like maybe if you have like a dog that scratches at the back door and you have, you know, some molding down the bottom, like the floorboards, and it's kind of beaten up a little bit, you want to replace those before you start, before you start taking the pictures, and B, make sure that they're not doing that while people are showing the house. All right, the next thing, all right, we've talked about the staging portion, so the next biggest tip is number 4. It's professional photos. This is the first impression that people see of your house on the MLS. So you want to make sure that you leave a great first impression. So what does that look for? What does that look like? You want to make sure that the agent you select to sell your house has a professional photographer, that you've kind of seen their body of work. So when you have a listing agent come in, you want to make sure that you check their other listings and see what kind of photos that they've taken for their houses. And that doesn't just mean just the high-end houses, because a lot of photographers want to show you these beautiful houses that you can take advantage of all these features and stuff, but you know, not everybody has a $600,000 house that you can do a bunch of beautiful photos with and take advantage of all the beautiful things in the house. I want to see what they do with like a $150,000 house and see how they are able to highlight the features of that, and does the quality of those photos go down with the price point. Everything across the board should be the same, because they should be treating your house exactly like everybody else's house, because the whole goal is to make sure that we sell for the best price, correct? Number 2, if you can, get Twilight Photos. They really stand out on an MLS, in the multiple MLS's multiple listing service. They really stand out when you have Twilight pictures that maybe have, you know, landscape lights and stuff like that. And you can do that really quickly. It takes, you know, maybe a couple $100 at Home Depot. You can throw up some landscape lights and you can really make the outside of your house look really nice just in time to have these photos taken. And yeah, you may have lived there for 10 years and this has never been the case, but we really want to showcase your house and make it look the best so it can sell for the best price. So what a great opportunity to be able to do Twilight pictures with a professional photographer. Also, get aerial photos. Now, here's the caveat on that. If you're getting aerial photos, you want to make sure, like these are photos that are taken with a drone, you want to make sure that your roof looks very well and your gutters are clean. Because if you go to take aerial photos and all you see is the roof looks like total garbage, like it's going to have to be replaced soon, and your gutters are full of pine needles or leaves or whatever, obviously that's going to be an eyesore. What we want to highlight is the size of the yard and give an overall different impression. It just looks so much better when you have aerial photos to be able to take advantage of all the things that are cool about that property, not just the exterior of the house, but also the yard, the front yard, how it appears in a different light that you normally might not see. Number 4, highlight the best features of the house. So if maybe the best feature of your house is the kitchen, maybe the best feature of your house is the pool in the backyard. Maybe the best feature of the house is the magnolia tree that's nice and mature and beautiful and has these great beautiful white flowers. Who knows? Whatever it is that's special about your house and that's going to set it apart, you want to make sure that the professional photographer takes advantage by taking those pictures. I have had a case where one of the best features of a house was this gigantic Supra shower, and obviously there was no bathtub in that shower in that bathroom because the shower took up that space. Unfortunately, the photographer that we hired the first time didn't ever take a picture of the best feature of the house. So we had to go back and have it redone. We had to get pictures in order to highlight one of the best features of the house, which really was a huge bummer. So live, learn, and make sure that you have a photographer that highlights the best features of the house. And then also re-emphasis on the fact that this is your first impression to all potential home buyers. So many people right now are doing their home shopping on the internet, and when you put a listing on the MLS, the multiple listing service that goes out to all agents and all that, and specifically here in Houston, HAR, the HAR app is a huge deal still, and a lot of people still use it. Not only does it go to that app, but it also goes to Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, and gets spread out all over the country. So if someone maybe from out of town is looking to move to the area, they're gonna see that that's gonna be their first impression of the house, and possibly, just like we just talked about, if they're from out of town, that may be the only thing that they see of your house. So you wanna make sure that these professional photos are done and done right and feature all the best things of your house if you want it to sell for the best price. All right, on to the next one, number three, most important tip. You need to make sure that it's easy to be seen. All right, what does that mean? Easy to be seen. It means, all right, it needs to be available. First of all, like, it needs to be available for it to be seen, like showing the house. So it needs to be available during the week. It needs to be available in the evenings. It needs to be available during the day. It needs to be available on the weekends. It needs to be available to be seen whenever a buyer is looking to move into your house. Their schedule is not your schedule, and it's easier if you can adjust to their schedule for a short period of time and get that house sold. If you decline showings over and over again, or the house is only available with this stipulation or that stipulation, or you need like 5 hours notice or 6 hours notice or whatever, all those things make it more difficult for a buyer to be able to see your house, which at the same time is going to make it more difficult to sell. All right, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about when your house is going to be available to be shown. All right, number two, keep it simple. So one of the things that I've noticed as a buyer's agent going to see other people's houses, when there's an alarm set and you have to put in an alarm code and you have to turn it off to see it, and then put it back on, and then you know, maybe the key box is hidden in a certain spot and somewhere in the property that not the front door. It just, all these things add up and make it more difficult for it to be seen, and leaves a poor impression with the buyer on that particular house right from the get-go. Make sure that the house, if possible, best case scenario, you want to put the key box on the front door and make that key box easily accessible for potential agents, right? So that brings me to my next point. Use a Supra. All right, in the Houston area, almost every single agent has access to a Supra. Even the appraisers do that, the inspection people do that. So it's also tracks who goes onto your property. So you have that extra layer of security, and only people who should have access to it have access to it. You don't have potential where someone sees what the key code is on the key box that maybe comes back and then loots your house. Supra box has to be accessed by someone who should be there. All right, they have to schedule an appointment to be there. It tracks who's there. It's so much more security for the property. It's easier for the agent to be able to get to, and if you put it at the front door, wham bam, here you go, you're right in the house. It's not a problem. So in my experience, using a Supra box has been so much better than using any of these key boxes and stuff like that. And honestly, it's a way a lot of agents use to cut corners and make things cheaper, and it's not really a benefit to you, the seller. All right. Number 4, online scheduling. This one really gets to me. Online scheduling. So when agents go to schedule houses to be shown, what I've started to notice is that a lot of agents are cutting corners by not using the CSS service that's directly tied to HAR. And with a CSS service, what that does is that automatically sends the seller a text message notifying them about when a potential showing is trying to be scheduled, and you can, either approve it or decline it. That being said, there's some other stuff that's automatically done where it sends an email to the agent, or the agent has to call the other agent's office and this and that and whatever. And in almost every single one of those cases, it's more difficult to get in touch with that agent than it is to just use a CSS service. All right, and a lot of agents are just cutting corners by not using that CSS service that costs them a monthly thing. a monthly fee. Use an agent that uses CSS. It just makes it so much easier for people to the right people to access your home, to see it, and then also to give feedback. CSS service also sends emails directly to you, the seller, with the feedback from that agent that just shown your house. It's just plain and simple. It just makes sense. Use CSS. Number 5, when you are leaving the house to go to allow a showing, 3 things that you want to make sure you do. Make sure you turn on all the lights in the house. Turn all of them on. Make sure it's as bright as it possibly can be. Open up any of the blinds. Make sure that the house is as open as possible. Leave fans going to keep circulation going. And then also the last thing you want to focus on is smell. You may not smell what's in your house. So go ahead, step outside for about 5 minutes and then walk back in and see if you notice the distinct smell of your home when you first walk in. See if you can neutralize that smell as best as possible, or at least make it comfortable for someone to walk in. I'll tell you what, one of the biggest things that people say when they first walk into a house is, oh my God, this house smells vacant, or oh my God, it smells like dogs, or oh my God, I definitely know that they had tacos or bacon for dinner tonight, right? So make sure that you neutralize that smell as much as possible and make it a pleasant smell for people when they come into your house. All right, number 2 on the top 5 tips in order to sell your house for the best price. Hire the right agent. A lot of these things that we've already talked about will be taken care of if you hire the right agent. First of all, that agent needs to meet your needs. Not your neighbor's needs, not your friend's needs, not your aunt and uncle's needs. Meet your needs. So what they do when they come in is you want to make sure that they're asking you a lot of questions to what they can do to cater services directly to you. Some people, you want to hear from them all the time. Other people, they just want to hear when there's very important news or things that they need to take action on. Make sure that you communicate with your agent, which is the next part. You need to make sure that they communicate well. Make sure that they communicate well with you. All right? They need to be able to communicate well with you specifically. All right? Also, make sure that if you're married, they need to be able to communicate with both you and your wife at the same time. A lot of times in the past, when I've only communicated with one person or the other for the majority of the communication, there's stuff that gets lost in translation and the communications back and forth. So now whenever I'm working with sellers, I want to make sure that I have them on a group text that I can communicate with both at the same time, so that everybody's getting the information at the same time and it's the same information with nothing else put into it. All right? Also, you want to make sure that you have an agent that actively prospects for your home. All right? What does that mean? Well, me personally, what that means for me is that when I go out and I do a lot of door knocking, so I specifically work certain neighborhoods, and that's where most of my listings come from, is because I'm a neighborhood expert. So what I do is I'm actively going from door to door and asking questions about people, about who they know that's interested in moving to the neighborhood, if they have friends or family. Because a lot of times, most people that want to move to the neighborhood are people who are friends and family, people that already live there. So if I have a listing coming up and I'm asking questions at the door of people who are possibly moving in to the neighborhood and what they're looking for. Are they looking for a 3-bedroom? Are they looking for a 4-bedroom? Do they want a bigger yard? Do they want a smaller yard? I know, based on who I'm talking to in the area, what people are looking for. All right? And so if I talk to somebody and I know I have a listing coming up and there's a possibility that I can get it sold before it even goes on the market, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to direct that buyer specifically to one of my sellers, and let's get this house sold in advance of it even going on the market, or very quickly after it goes on the market. So find an agent that is not lazy and not just hiding behind a phone, but actually goes out there, pounds the pavement, and gets to know the people in the neighborhood and know who's moving in. So people who actively prospect for your home. This also goes for when they work other open houses. If they work an open house in another neighborhood nearby, or maybe even a house in the same neighborhood, and someone comes in that could potentially be a buyer for your house, maybe the house that they're in isn't going to fit for them, but another house in the neighborhood, maybe your house, will fit exactly what they're looking for, and they hadn't been shown that yet, or they haven't started working with an agent yet, or maybe their agent is not very good and hasn't shown them that particular house. Here's an opportunity for you to do that. So you want to make sure you also find an agent that works open houses, or has a team of agents that work open houses that direct traffic back to your house, whether they're working your open house or not. Number 4, this is another thing, working with a large network of agents. So one of the benefits of working with Keller Williams agents in general is, specifically, our office has almost 300 agents in it. So when we have a team meeting and 150 to 200 some agents are at that team meeting every other week, we have new listings coming up, we can stand up and we can advertise that new listing to everybody that's at that team meeting right there. Also, every time a new listing comes up, it gets posted within the group. So you have 300 agents that has eyes on a house before it even goes on the market. So think of 300 agents and all of the people that they are working with. That's just hit probably well over 4,000 to 5,000 people in general that could potentially be looking for a house in the area based on how many buyers are being worked by those agents at any particular time. So what a great opportunity working with a large network of agents. Also, because it is a national or international brand, any of the buyers throughout the country that have potential buyers that are moving from out of the area into the area could also be getting that on the Keller Williams listing service. So a lot of times agents are only able to work in the area, in the MLS that they are in. Well, with the Keller Williams listing service, that goes up and that goes across the country and also internationally into Canada and other parts of the world, that if they have a buyer in another area that's looking to move, it's going to be on there where normally they wouldn't be able to see that if they're from out of the area. So number 5, you need an agent that works well with you, and I think we emphasized that at the very beginning, is how do they meet your needs? Everybody's different. Like I said, people have different personalities. If you talk about like the disc profile, there's 4 different types where you're active and adaptive and blah 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 and this and that and whatever. Well, you need to find an agent that's going to be able to adapt to you and work with you as a seller. So again, make sure that that agent asks lots of questions and is doing things to cater to your needs, not his needs or her needs. And then the last thing is stays in contact. Me personally, what I like to do is I like to contact my sellers 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I generally do that at about 1 o'clock. That's about the time that I get done actively prospecting. Mondays, I do that to be able to follow up with whatever happens over the weekend. Usually that's when you have the most action, is over the weekend, maybe open houses, showings, whatever. I can get a summary. It gives me time to be able to contact the agents of those buyers that potentially have gone through the house, get feedback from them, and then provide you with that feedback. I also then want to talk about scheduling open houses for the next weekend. Depending on how things went, do we need to schedule an open house? Is it available to schedule an open house? What are we thinking coming up this weekend? All right, getting to Wednesday, maybe stuff has happened. Maybe Monday night you had a showing, Tuesday, whatever. Maybe somebody in the meantime, since Monday afternoon, has contacted me and is thinking about putting in an offer. So we start to talk about those kind of things. And then also we want to solidify by Wednesday whether or not we're going to have an open house for the weekend, what times we want to do it, and this and that and whatever. So that's a check-in. That's just a check-in in the middle of the week, right? What a great opportunity to let you know there's no news. All right, nothing's happened in the last couple days, but here I am. I'm checking in with you so that you're not sitting there wondering what's going on with my house right now, okay? Friday, what do we need to do to prep for the upcoming open house or the showings and stuff like that? What's a reminder? What are based on the feedback that we've gotten, remember that we want to eliminate that dog smell, or maybe don't forget to get the cat box out of the house. Make sure that the lawn is mowed before any potential buyers stop by or whatever. All those things, just to double check, make sure you're doing okay, you're feeling good about the process, just answer any questions about what's going on. So that's staying in constant communication. It's consistent. It's consistent so that you don't wonder, am I going to hear from Troy today? No, it's very consistent. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Troy's going to call somewhere in that 1 o'clock hour. All right? Perfect. Perfect time, perfect way to communicate. All right. Also, does open houses early and often. You want to find an agent that does open houses early and often, especially when it first hits the market. The most important days are the first 14 days of any listing, and research has shown that your house sells at the best price in those first 14 to 21 days. So you want to make sure that you have the best impression. Most people get their eyes on it, and you're trying to get multiple offers at the same time, because most of the time when you get multiple offers, as long as you don't chase any of the buyers away, when you say, all right, now it's time to present your highest and best offer, you're probably going to get the best offer that you could get on your house. So therefore, you're selling it at the best price. Number 8, you want an agent that does not discount their services. If you have an agent that discounts their services, there's usually a reason for that. Maybe they're a brand new agent and they need to get listings desperately so that they can get experience. Maybe they're just not really good at selling houses and they need to be able to discount their services so that they actually have business to be able to work with. And then also, if you have an agent that's discounting their services, usually means that they don't provide as good a service as anybody else. So with that being said, if you have an agent that discounts their services and they can't protect their own pocket, how are they going to protect your pocket and your hard-earned equity? That's the main thing. You want to make sure that you hire an agent that is a Maserati and not a Hyundai, okay? Number 9, you need a local expert, all right? Local expert. You need somebody who knows about your neighborhood, about maybe your street. What's different about your street or your neighborhood as opposed to the rest of the city or town or whatever. The main thing is this: each neighborhood has their own specific set of drawbacks, positives, and things that could be highlighted in order to sell your house for a better price. Some parts of town have a lower tax rate, some have a higher one because of a MUD. We all know that those MUDs will be paid down eventually and that those tax rates will drop. Take advantage of someone who knows what's going on in the area. An added plus, I hate to toot my own horn, but I also love to do it. I'm knocking on doors every single day, and when I'm knocking on doors every single day, I get to know what, Tom and Harriet are doing down the road, and they could potentially have someone that's looking to buy or sell in the neighborhood. Maybe Janet and Jim have something else going on where they have a cousin that's moving to Houston and they have no idea where they're going to live. The only area that they know is in your neighborhood, and they're looking for this or that. 3-bedroom house, 2.5 bath, 2,200 square feet. Great. I know a house that fits that perfectly. So what a great opportunity to have someone who is a local expert. All right. And the last thing, the number 1 tip, and I'm sorry that this has gone long, but I feel like I have a lot of information to give on this. Price your house right. That is the most important thing in order to sell your house for the highest and best price. A lot of people have this common misconception that if they list their house for $340,000 at the very tip top of what it could possibly get for the house, that leaves space for someone to come in and lowball them, and then you can make up the difference in the negotiations. The key, the absolute key, first of all, if your house is overpriced, no one's going to come look at it, because they're going to see it on the MLS, they're going to see it and get that first impression. They're like, there's no way that I would ever pay $340 for that house. And so, you know what? We're just going to let it sit there. I mean, it's a house. I love it. It's beautiful, and it fits everything that we're looking for, but we're just going to sit back and wait until they do the price reductions till they get to the point where, maybe we can then put in an offer under that. They'll be a little bit more desperate, and we can take advantage of them, right? No. The goal is to price the house at a point where you're going to get buyer just absolute intensity in that they need to buy this house right away. Most of the time what I've noticed is that when I go and I work with buyers and we walk into a house and we know what the price is and we know what's in the inside, seeing it, we then say, oh my God, there's no way this house is going to stay in the market very long. So we have to create that buyer urgency, absolute buyer urgency. In order to hurry up, we need to put in an offer. There's no way this house is going to be on the market. And you know what? Every single time that we've said that, or I'm working with a buyer and we go to submit an offer, or we call the agent and the agent says, yeah, we've already got 3 or 4 offers on the house. Please present your highest and best by 5 p.m. the next day. That's buyer urgency, and that's how you get the best price for your house. So you want to make sure that you price it so that you create buyer urgency, which therefore gets you the best price for your house. All the other things that we do up to this point leads up to that, so the condition of the house plays into that. Pricing it right is what helps get it sold. Number two, you need to price it ahead of the market. Make sure that if the market is on a decline, that you price it ahead of that. So that means you're gonna have to price it a little bit lower than what maybe it's been selling previously. So, you know, Tom and Harriet or wherever on the corner, yeah, they sold their house for $350,000 2 weeks ago, you know, but in the meantime, we've heard that interest rates are going up. Some other things, some other factors are going on where, okay, we're starting to get into the winter, and, you know, prices are going to naturally drop a little bit. Price it ahead of that. Make sure, put it down to like maybe 330, 335, and therefore you're going to create that buyer urgency again to be able to get the highest and best price. You know, maybe you price it at 330, 335, and everybody knows that that's a great price for what's going on in the market right now, and they hurry up and they put in multiple offers, and you still end up at 350. Who knows? But the main thing is this, is that you want to price it ahead of the market. And then also consult with a realtor that is a neighborhood expert. Once again, we're talking about neighborhood experts. If you list with an agent that's a neighborhood expert, they know what's going on in the neighborhood. They know these other X factors that may be going on behind the scenes. They're aware of what's going on, and they're going to help you price the house the right way. Bottom line is, you need to trust your real estate agent. You're the one that sets the price of the house, like the listing price of the house, but the buyer is the one that actually determines how much they're going to pay, and then you just determine whether or not you're going to accept that price that they offer. The real estate agent, their job is to consult with you and to be able to give you good advice on what to price a house at as a listing or an asking price in order to create that buyer urgency. So if you have an agent that just goes ahead and just lets you list it at whatever you want to list it at, you might want to start looking at another agent, because the main thing is that you need to create buyer urgency. So like I said, after all of this stuff, the number one most important thing for you to do is to price the house right. The house could be in awful shape, but as long as you price it right for someone to come in and buy it, it's going to sell. If it's not compelling, it's not selling. So either you need to improve the condition of the house, or you need to improve the price of the house in order to get it sold once you have it on the market. So those are my top 5 tips for selling your home at the best price. I'm going to go over them real quick one more time. Number 1 is price it to sell, the most important by far. Number 2, hire the right agent, which is going to help you price it at the right price to sell. Number 3, make it easy to be seen. Let it be available. Number 4, professional photos. And number 5, stage it right. So I just want to take a real quick moment to thank you for staying and tuning in and watching this whole thing. This went way longer than I wanted to go, but there's a lot of information that we needed to share. So thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. We're going to have this will be on YouTube. We're also going to probably put it on Facebook. Like, comment. We love feedback. We eat that stuff for breakfast, and would love to do whatever we can in order to make this a better experience for you and give you better information. So if there's something that you'd like to see, something you'd like me to comment or talk about, please let me know, and we will make sure that we get to that. So thank you very much for your time, and hope you have a wonderful day.